So news has come out that the PS3, the PSP, and the PS Vita online stores will no longer sell games starting in July of 2021. This news was first reported by The Gamer website. I'll post a link down in the description. I've actually not heard of this website before, so this may be fake news. I really don't know, but a lot of people are circulating this kind of stuff online, this article in particular. So it leads me to believe that there is some sort of validation to the story. So starting in July of 2021, PS3, PSP, and PS Vita games will no longer be able to be purchased on those storefronts. And it's unknown if gamers can download already purchased games on these platforms after this store closes. But it's really unlikely, in my opinion. I don't really see them taking down the entire store, but then keeping part of it up for only you to download games and not purchase them. That doesn't seem to make any sense. Just for the record, the PS3 launched way back in 2006. That machine is 15 years old. The PSP launched in 2005, so that makes it 16 years old. And the PS Vita launched in 2011, so that machine is 10 years old. Interestingly enough, though, some developers are still publishing games on the PS Vita, and even though the Vita didn't have as much success as the PSP did, and the Vita support got cut off quite early in its life cycle, the PS Vita has pretty a hardcore following, and there's quite a lot of games on there that are still published, and a lot of people still really enjoy playing on that platform. So this news is a huge impact on game preservation, and this is a huge lesson, I think, to both developers and consumers that physical media is always going to be better than digital for consoles. And people's investment in these experiences are suddenly going to vanish. I don't know how many people would exclusively buy digital back then. Having full game downloads on the PS3 and the 360 wasn't really a thing until later in those consoles' life cycles. Really, when these storefronts opened, it was mostly for DLC demos, getting like new themes for your console, and then mini games like Xbox Arcade, or they called them PS3 minis. So like smaller games that you would play, like for instance, like Peggle would be one of these games. But eventually, towards the end of these life cycles of these consoles, they started offering full game downloads. So you could download the latest Call of Duty, just like you can on modern machines. So I wonder how many people exclusively bought digital games on these machines towards the end of these life cycles. They're going to lose a significant amount of their investment that they put into these digital platforms, and that's really sad. PlayStation also has no backwards compatibility, so that makes this move even more of a head scratcher. What's the best way to experience the PS3 now, or any of these other platforms if you're interested based on this news? Well, prices of the games and the consoles are almost certainly going to skyrocket from this news on eBay. So I would say if you're remotely interested in experiencing the PS3 if you haven't yet, or the PSP or the PS Vita, the cheapest time is always going to be right now. These consoles are never going to get cheaper, I don't think, especially the handhelds like the PSP and the PS Vita. They're just going to get more and more rare to find. But you may want to look into emulation if you want to experience these platforms and try out some of the games. There's a lot of great games that even Sony themselves have made that's still stranded on the PS3. A good example is the Resistance trilogy, some of the older God of War games, the older Ratchet and Clank games. I mean, there's a lot still on this platform that people haven't experienced yet or don't know that they exist on these older platforms. There is PlayStation Now, so you can play PS3 games on PS4 and PS5 machines, but you don't own those games. You're renting a service. It's kind of similar to Game Pass, but you're streaming these titles. You can experience and play them. From what I've heard, PS Now is fine. It's not excellent, but it is a way to experience these old games. But game preservation is a really big problem. We often lose many games, stories, and experiences to things like this all the time. There's sometimes entire platforms where almost the entire catalog is completely lost. And if you care about game preservation, you should always buy physical. If you have a console, physical is often cheaper due to all the different retailers. You can just go to any different retailer and see if the game is on sale cheaper. You can sell it, of course. It's tangible, and sometimes it includes goodies. If you are a console player, Game preservation is best right now on the Xbox platforms through physical and digital media. Xbox has done a fantastic job. They've led the way for console preservation that we've really never seen before. The Xbox Series X can play 4 generations of consoles, and what's incredible is that it just simply works, and that's really rare to see in tech. If you care about game preservation on PC, GOG, Good Old Games, the storefront that's owned by CD Projekt Red, they're the best place for digital preservation because they work to ensure that all the games on there work on modern hardware and they're hand curated titles. A famous instance is Fallout 3 is really difficult to get running on Steam these days due to the complications of Windows 10, because Fallout 3 came out way before Windows 10 was a thing, but it runs great on GOG. It's because the team at GOG ensures that the game will run on new hardware. And you actually own the games on GOG, and it's DRM free. It's really, really great. Also, there are indie games that do make limited physical editions. So there are some companies like Super Rare Games and Limited Run Games. They do offer physical releases of some of your favorite indie titles. So if you want to make sure that your favorite small indie titles are preserved through physical media, this is a great way to support both of these new publishing outlets, as well as the games themselves and the developers who make these games. I really don't know what the impact of this store shuttering will be. There could be that no one cares and everyone just moves on with their lives, but I really think that this is a wake-up call because to my recollection, this is the first time a major gaming storefront is closing entirely. And this is a storefront that has a ton of stuff that is completely stranded on this platform. Again, you can't play PS3 games anywhere else natively except on a PS3. So if you have physical media of a PS3, I recommend you hold on to it. If you're remotely interested in getting a PS3, the time to get it is right now. And we'll just have to wait and see. I hope that this news turns out to be fake. I'll update you in the comments down below about news regarding this story, but this is quite alarming. And, for me, myself, if you want my 2 cents on this, what am I going to be doing from here on out? I'm actually going to probably purchase most of my games on PC nowadays because I just want to make sure that I can guarantee myself that I can play any of these titles in the future, whether it be 5 or 10 years from now. I really think that PC is the best place to do that sort of a thing. If you were a console player, I think Xbox is the best place for game preservation, but this is more of a new thing for Xbox. Game preservation with Xbox, the way that they do backwards compatibility, wasn't a thing 6 or 7 years ago. And Xbox has been around for 20 years. So, let's hope that Xbox continue this trend. They could, of course, just drop this at any given moment, and then game preservation could be ruined on the Xbox platform. But for now, Xbox and PC, I think, are the 2 best places to play if you care about game preservation. And again, GOG is the best storefront for that as well. I'd love to know your thoughts on this story in the comments down below. Do you care about the PS3 store shutting down, or are you quite alarmed by this? Love to know your thoughts.